Okay, so here you see a category index page. And as you can see, this is a real world project. In this video, we're going to focus on this little area right here. This is where I'm displaying a multi-category hierarchy with links and custom separators, by which I mean that they all have a parent-child hierarchy. Biology is a child of tutoring, grade 8 is a child of biology, and Jackson Heights is a child of grade 8, which means they go all the way down to the last one. We can come back and more lists get or posts get added as we go back and all the way back to tutoring. So let's go find out how to create it programmatically. Okay, so I'm back at the code level, and this file, I tracked it down, which is content-category. Basically, I went to look at the category.php because that's what this template name is saying. That's the current template, category.php. Came here and found out that it is actually coming from template parts content-category file. Thus came here and found this, and this is the exact same position that category structure was displayed. Just to show you, let's go back, and as you can see, it is no longer present, that structure we showed before, because this time we're going to create it from scratch. Let's get started. Okay, we're about to get started, but before we do, why don't we type in something like this and save it, and let's go see if our location is correct. Let's refresh, and boom, look at that, Boo is right there, and this is exactly where we're trying to print out that category display with hierarchy. Let's go back and get started. First, we declare a variable, taxonomy, and set it to category. Now let's grab all the post terms using wp-get object terms. We're going to pass the post ID and the taxonomy, and from all the fields we're collecting IDs. Let's find out what we just grabbed here. Post terms. All right, we're collecting all the term IDs, which is category IDs, but not necessarily in the right order. But for that, we have other things to do. Let's go find out. Let's remove this for now. Next, create a separator. This is a custom separator that we're creating, putting that in a variable. And if you look here, this is basically coming from Font Awesome. And Font Awesome, this is just a right directing arrow, right? We will find out soon. So let's move on to the next step. Now let's put in a check for our post terms. Okay, so this is just a good practice to make sure our terms are not empty, nor we have some error, right? So that being said, let's go process our term IDs. Okay, so we're using implode. Basically what we're trying to do here is get that post terms array, which is an array full of category IDs, and we are turning that into a comma separated list or text so that we can use that in our next function. Let's move on. Now comes the main function. Terms equals WP list categories, which will take an array of arguments. Okay, So basically, what this function does is take these arguments and try to construct a nice little list. For that, it actually takes some HTML. You can actually provide some styling, whatnot. But in this case, I'm just giving it echo false and styling none, and I'm not even providing it with the li for listing. But what I am providing it with the taxonomy, which is our taxonomy variable, which is basically category, and I'm going to include the term IDs, which is basically a string of category IDs that we just created here. Next, we're going to attach our custom separator. But before we do, why don't we find out what we have done so far? For that, let's bring in our friend and let's put in $terms. Okay, so let's go see. Remember this ID which we already turned into a string, and now let's see after all that what we have. Boom, look at that. It's a nice little list, a hierarchical list, which is in accordance with the parent-child hierarchy, and they have links attached to them. So let's make them pretty. Go back. Let's get rid of this. Now let's add the custom separator that we created before. Okay, so basically we're taking the same variable, we're replacing it with the new stuff. We're using string replace because this BR is the reason they're all coming on top of each other. Let's find out a little bit. Just do an inspect. See, these are the BRs we're trying to replace. And because of that, they're coming up with new lines right here, right? So once we remove those BRs, they're going to come in straight lines, and that's when we're going to insert this separator, which is right here. And this separator was created using font awesome right arrow, right? So at this point, we actually have what we need. So next we display that. Echo terms. Boom. At this point, we have our code ready and saved. So now let's go back to our project and let's keep an eye here. Let's refresh. And we have our man in the flesh. Let's click on it. Biology, yes. Grade 8. Yes, all the way down to the 4th category. All right, so even though we have reached our target and we are printing all the categories just the way we like it, but we're not quite done yet, because as a good developer, we cannot just leave this here inside a category loop. What we need to do is turn this into a function for reusability later on. And that's exactly what I did. Before I show you the details, let me just have your focus here. To turn this into a function, we're going to need two parameters mainly, a post ID and the taxonomy. This taxonomy, we know it's coming from here, and the post ID is coming from the category loop, right? So what I did, first of all, I went to the functions file, then I created a file and acquired path here so that from the functions file right here, I can call this, and then I went to that function folder, I created a function. To give you a better glimpse at it, let's go look at both side by side. All right, so here we have both the pages side by side. I mean, this is what we just built coming from the content-category, which is inside the category loop. This is pretty much what is visible right here currently, and here is my function. Now if you look side by side, it is exactly the same code right here. Only difference is it is inside a function, and this is the big name of the function, and the two parameters we talked about, the taxonomy, which is category here, and the post ID, I am using them as variables right here. So whenever somebody uses this function anywhere inside some sort of a WordPress loop, then if you can provide this value, like the post ID and the taxonomy, it's going to generate the exact same thing, because these are the variables I used right here. And I just made a little bit of change here so that it looks, a little bit cuter, just added two small tags with some classes in there. Just to show you that it works, is the exact same thing. I have it deployed right here within this two lines. Let's just enable them. Pretty much one is just a BR tag, because whatever is printing here, I want to print the same thing through the function right underneath it, and I'm calling this same function here, and here I am passing the post ID, which is right here coming from the category loop, and the taxonomy here that we just used here. So now just to see this function in action, I'm going to go ahead and save this and refresh. Boom, look at that. Only difference is the arrows are a little bit smaller because of that small tag that I added, but exact same result. Which means now we can just get rid of everything from here to here. Delete. And then we no longer need the BR tag. And let's cut this out and put it right here. Let's save this. Let's go back, refresh. Boom. We have our result that we were looking for, but in a much better way and a reusable way. So now we can take this same function and use it elsewhere. That'll be all for this video. Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, please smash the like button and the subscribe button. This will help me bring more free contents like this to you every week. Thanks again.